darlings, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a Word Study Wednesday video for you guys. And today we are studying the word mercy. So I am studying the word mercy because, as I told you guys last week, I am going through the Lent journey with Inspire Bible, where we are focusing on a word for each day, and it also comes with a Bible verse. So these are words for the journey, and they included printables and all these other fun Lent things that you can do. And as I was studying today and I was going through the word this morning, I was like, oh, I'd really love to do a deep dive on this word mercy. And the mercy word is actually, or the Hebrew word for mercy in Micah 6:8 is hest. If you have ever studied this word, it is, first of all, a multifaceted word, and it has so much to dig into. And this word really blew me away, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys and get that into my word study journal. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward. I did want to share that I am using an oldie but a goodie that is in my stash. This is a compact Bible dictionary, and I really love this. It's an old school type of Bible dictionary. It has not just words, but also people. And so I kind of looked at that as well. It also has like black and white pictures in some of these. So this is like an old school book, but I do love referencing my books whenever I can. And so I digged into that. So I wanted to share that with you. This is the Nelson's Compact series, by the way. And I also looked up things on Blue Letter Bible. And so that is what I'm going to be doing. This is going to be kind of a stash bust type of layout, I guess you want to say. I usually like pick specific things, but I'm just using stuff in my stash today in terms of decor. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and let's dig in. Okay, darling. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my big tile alphas from By the Well for God, and I am going to write out the word mercy in the banner up at the top, and also the Strong's number, which is H2617. So this Hebrew word for mercy, hest. Hest is the transliteration. It really, as I was just studying, the Spirit was really pressing on me how multifaceted this word is. So this is just an overview of so much that there is to unpack in the word hest. So the verse that I'm focusing on was my Lent verse of the day, which was Micah 6:8. And in the ESV translation, it reads, "He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness or mercy and to walk humbly with your God." So that is the verse that I was focusing on. And you'll see me break down different translations later on, and we'll get into that. So the word hest, I looked up, first of all, the word mercy in the Nelson's Compact Bible Dictionary, and it's the aspect of God's love that causes him, God, to help the miserable. Okay, so we are all miserable in some sense because we are all sinners, right? And so this is the aspect of God's love that causes him to love us, okay? Or to help us is what I should say. And so when I write out that verse in Micah 6:8, I box out the word kindness, and then to the side, I put mercy. I do study in the ESV translation, but I do my Bible reading in the NLT translation. And so in the NLT translation, it is mercy. But I wrote it out here in the ESV translation, and then I just boxed out kindness and I wrote mercy to the side. Under root words or derivatives, I wrote down that this is from the primitive root, which is H2616, hasad. And this is to be good or be kind. And then breaking down the parsing, it's a common noun and it is masculine. And then we went into the usage. This word happens 251 times in the Old Testament in 241 verses. Most of those verses, or most of the times that it comes up in the Old Testament, is in the book of Psalms. It's a whopping 128 times. And you'll see it in Psalms 136, the full chapter and every single verse. And of course, that is the one where it talks about because his mercy endureth forever. The first mention that we will find the word Hess is actually in Genesis 19:19, and then the last mention is in Zechariah 7:9. And the most mentions, like I stated, is in Psalm. So under concordance, I wrote all the words in the Strong's Concordance that are to this word Hess, which is mercy, kindness, loving kindness, goodness, kindly, merciful, favor, good, goodliness, pity. And then I put in parentheses 2 words that kind of stuck out to me that do not go specifically with this verse, but it is also used once as reproach and once as wicked thing. And that is like another facet of it that does not pertain to this one specifically. In lexicon, I wrote out all the different verbs and nouns of this word that you can find in the word that relate to this word within the Hebrew language in the Old Testament. There were also some New Testament as well, but I felt like the Old Testament is what I really wanted to kind of hone in on. Okay, moving on to the gritty. Over on the right-hand side, I broke down using these labels and also the Mr. Penn Slick Writer. Heads up, that is an idea I stole from Mindy, and she also does Word Study Wednesdays, so you can check out her video. But I broke down 3 things. Hest in God's character, or as part of God's character, Hest in relationships, and Hest in different translations. Okay, so for referring to Hest in God's character, Hest is a fundamental characteristic of God and is often used to describe God's covenant love for his people. And then when we look into Hest in relationships, I broke it down into human to human relationships, which means to do good, and that is to others, obviously. And we find 2 examples of this Hest relationship in the Bible, human to human. We find that in Abraham to Abimelech, and also Jonathan and David. And if you see Proverbs 14:22, it talks about this type of Hess relationship within human to human contact. Then there's God to human contact, and that, in all general senses of the word, is covenant faithfulness. And so these are some of the things I broke down from a video that I was watching, kind of preparing myself for this study. So God gives Hest, and he sends Hest, and he remembers Hest, and he continues Hest, and he shows Hest. He commands of us Hest, and he keeps Hest, his covenant faithfulness. And you also see this in scripture in Psalms 23:6, which we will break down in just a little bit. Okay, so then looking at Hest in different translations for the same verses, I first looked up Micah 6:8. And here it is translated in the ESV to kindness. In the King James Version is translated to mercy, and in the New Living Translation, it is translated to mercy as well. And then when we look at Psalm 136:1, and obviously every other verse in Psalms 136, in the ESV version, it's translated to steadfast love. In the King James Version, it is translated to mercy. And in the New Living Translation, it is translated to faithful love. And I love to see how in different translations, how they're similar for some and then different for others. Then we're looking at Psalms 23:6, which I absolutely love that verse. And it is written mercy in the ESV translation. It is also written mercy in the King James translation, and then unfailing love in the New Living Translation. The reason why I wrote these out and I kind of broke down the different translations is because I feel like when we look at different translation, we can see how these different words that we find in a concordance kind of show up over and over. And I also love seeing the similarities. For example, how in Micah 6:8, King James Version and NLT are both the same. But then when we look at Psalms 23:6, we see that it's the same for ESV and King James Version. So, and then obviously obviously in Psalm 136, it's different for all three versions. So I did love seeing that different breakdown. And I feel like for me specifically, I should say, I grow more in the meaning of a word when I'm looking at different translation when it comes to Bible study, although I primarily study in the ESV translation. Then I'm going to go into my main takeaway, and this is just a simple summary of this jam-packed word. I put mercy, or hest, is not a word that can be described easily because of the greatness behind it. All that is related to the word stands on one thing: God's character. Because of who he is, loving, kind, faithful, and steadfast, we have hest. So we have this mercy, this loving kindness, this steadfast love. We have this favor, this goodness. All of this stems from God's character. And it's a reminder to me that I cannot give something that I don't know, right? And because knowing more of God and more of his character is going to allow me to provide that hest in my human to human interaction, just like Abraham and Abimelech did, and just like Jonathan and David did. This has to stem from me knowing more of God and God's character, because that is where that stems from. It's kind of like love. You love more or better, or you love in a pure essence when you know God's love in your life, and you know that is where where love comes from. It comes from God. The same thing is kind of what I'm thinking about with mercy. I can have these human to human relationships in hest in these human to human relationships because I know God, and the more I know of his character, the more I can give that to my brothers and sisters around me. The last thing I want to say is that in the definition, I added loving kindness, steadfast love, and covenant faithfulness as kind of that summary of the definition of this word. I definitely encourage you to do your own word study and see what you find out. I will link below the video that I use along with the Bible dictionary that I use that kind of helped me break down the relationship aspect of hest. And I hope this blessed you just as much as it blessed me. I've loved walking through these different words in my Lent journey and then coming in and doing Word Study Wednesday with you guys. If you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing, hit the like button and notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. And thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.